When it comes to legendary whitetails, there's always something weird or wild about the story, the hunt, or the deer itself. There was the hole in the horn buck with the mysterious hole in its massive drop tine, the Illinois roadkill, which is one of the largest typicals ever found hit by a car, the general whose sheds sat stowed away from the public eye for years, and the Rampala buck. Well, that's a whole nother story in itself. When it comes to weird and unique stories about massive whitetails, though, a more recent one that comes to mind is the Sweetie buck.
The next buck it's called, Rich Ewing is the one who found this buck, but people know it as the Sweetie buck. So it's known as the Sweetie buck because back in 2011, Rich owned a German Shepherd, a 5-year-old German Shepherd called Sweetie. And Sweetie was running around the farm. It would always, going everywhere. Well, it came up on this deadhead here. And so this buck was found in Ashtabula County, and its BTR score is 271, and its Boone and Crockett is 263 and 4/8. Just a massive deer. Another one of those cool ones to tell the kids to, hey, go out in the woods. You never know what you're going to find. This is a once in a lifetime buck that, everybody would love to even to find it. Dogs running around, let the dogs go out and maybe your dog will walk around the woods and try to find a 270-inch deer like this. So he's pretty lucky. Better have give that dog a couple treats whenever he came back after finding that thing.
Rich and Barb Ewing first found their dog Sweetie on a cold winter's day in northeast Ohio when they looked outside their house and saw a puppy out in the cold that someone had dumped off the side of the road, digging through the snow. They took the puppy in as their own, feeding it back to health, and it quickly became a huge part of their family. In the winter of 2010, shortly after a massive lake-effect snowstorm dumped a couple feet on the Ewing's property in Ashtabula County, Ohio, the dog Sweetie went out for an adventure and returned shortly after with a deer hoof. Rich recalled looking at the hoof, marveling at its size, and wondering where she actually found it at. A week later, Sweetie brought home the second deer foot of equally impressive size, and Rich's curiosity was piqued. A week after that, Rich was out working in the pasture fixing some fence about 75 yards from one of his tree stands. He took a break after a couple hours of work and went for a little bit of a walk into the woods. About 20 feet into the woods, the smell hit him. He thought he spotted what looked like a bush poking out from under the snow as he walked through the woods, but as he approached, he quickly realized it was a massive rack. Buried in the snow were the remains of the buck, much of the carcass taken care of by the coyotes, but the antlers were virtually untouched. Not wanting the coyotes to carry the rest of the rack off and deeper into the woods, Rich retrieved the head, brought it home to his farm, and immediately called the Ohio Department of Natural Resources officer in his local area. Upon further inspection, the ODNR officer determined that the buck died of natural causes and turned it over to Rich with a salvage tag. In February of 2011, the Ewings took the rack to a local taxidermist to get the enormous rack cleaned up. Rich recalls the taxidermist telling him not to tell anyone that he took the rack there, and he had to immediately come pick it up as soon as it was done because the taxidermist feared the notoriety that would come along with a rack of this size. After the mandatory 60-day drying period, the Ewings had the rack officially measured and scored as a 29-point non-typical, netting 263 and 4/8 inches. The jaw-dropping frame had a whopping 68 inches of abnormal growth. The main beams measured 26 and 0/8 inches and 28 and 1/8 inches, and its G2s each extend to the 12-inch mark. Both bases are well over 6 inches in mass measurement, and the inside spread reaches 24 and 2/8 inches. What's unique about this buck is the area that it was found. Ashtabula County in northeast Ohio is not really known for large whitetails. Land is flat and fairly open, covered largely by crop fields with pockets of woods in between. It is on the exact opposite side of the state that is known for producing trophy whitetails of this caliber. Dogs are man's best friend, but have always been known to get into things that they probably shouldn't. Sometimes it's chewing on our shoes, sometimes it's getting too close to a skunk, and sometimes it's the hoof of a dead deer that belongs to a 263 and 4/8 inch giant whitetail.